What's up, guys? Welcome to the Cardboard Cave podcast. And here we are back again with our video podcast. And as well, if you guys want to listen to it later on or want to watch it later on, then it's easy. Just go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to it, and you will be up to date with all of our content. As well, we will be putting clips of this podcast on our TikTok. I totally lost words on our TikTok platform. So if you guys want to listen to it, you guys can go ahead and just follow us on YouTube, TikTok, and all of other platforms that you guys can go ahead and enjoy our content. One more thing. What if you want to spice up your commander or your decks? Go to altersleeves.com, user code Cardboard Cave, and you can get 5% off your order, and as well, if you will be supporting us. So altersleeves.com, user code Cardboard Cave, or use our affiliate link that will be available down below on our description that you guys can check it out. Now, no further ado, let's go ahead and go to the main topic of today, that it's Modern Horizon 3. If you all know this set, there's not that much to talk about because it was leaked very early before the actual previews came out. And now we're going to be talking about this and our top 3 cards of the set with the one and only, our favorite director, Alejandro Orengo.
Yo. Hey,
what's up, Orengo?
Let's talk about cardboard.
Let's talk about cardboard. So, Orengo, let's give our thoughts of the set. So tell me, do you like the set? Are you ecstatic? Are you happy about it? Are you happy that it's going to be available as well in MTG Arena?
That's the weird part, because I don't think they had Modern Horizons 2 nor 1 in Arena. So
they had the anthology. Some of the cards were available in the anthology.
Some of the cards, but this time they're putting everything, which is gonna throw a wrench at everything. I don't know. Regarding the set, I think the set's cool. I'm very hyperbolic on Twitter. I post a lot of the spoilers and I say that everything's amazing, but actually I think it's okay power level wise. There are some key cards, maybe some themes that might do a dent on Modern, but I don't think this is not as pushed as Modern Horizons 2, not by a long shot. Even the Flare cycle, which is very strong, that's probably one of the strongest things they have. It all depends if the Eldrazi and the cards they're injecting into Modern and the Devoid mechanic and all of that does something in Modern, but it'll be difficult because Tron decks are generally known for having the most sideboard hate out of all the decks in Modern. So, and I think this set also has even more hate for Tron. So you're putting Tron and you have to use a Tron base to be able to do anything with Eldrazi, and I don't think it's going to work. The energy, I thought they were going to push it more. Maybe there's something I haven't seen, but for the most part, it seems like they were kind of afraid of doing what they did back in Kaladesh and Aether Revolt when energy was first introduced, that they really pushed it because it was essentially free resources for stuff that was already good. So we all know Attune with Ether, which was that one mana enchantment, I think, or 1 mana spell that lets you get a land and lose from top 3 cards.
It gives you 2 energies.
Yeah, it gives you 2 energies. That was kind of insane value because for 1 green, that was already good, but adding the energy was what brought it over the edge. And there's some cards that kind of push a little bit that boundary, but I think they held back a little bit because they were probably afraid of breaking, again, the format by introducing very broken energy mechanics. So I don't know. I feel like they didn't commit to fully pushing like they did with Modern Horizons 2. Maybe it's because they don't want to have this set be the end-all be-all like Modern Horizons 2 was, even though I know they want to sell stuff. But I feel and we posted this on TikTok, I feel like when, I forgot the name of the guy that works at Wizards, called it Commander Horizons. I think I think at the end of the day, this is more for Commander.
I can't, that clip is
it's great. That's just literally saying the quiet part out loud. That was their mask off moment. We finally have WotC admitting that they just do product for Commander. We always knew, but they just blatantly just said it.
I just like the fact that in the clip he's like Commander, and then he's like, oh, they're gonna talk to me later.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna get in trouble for that one. It's like, yes, you will. Yes. Yeah.
So for me, it was interesting that we're going back to energy. It's an interesting take going back to energy. I think that being that this set is going to be available in MTG Arena, it's quite interesting because in Pioneer, a lot of people are using the old school standard energy deck, and it's actually pretty good in the meta, in the historic meta. So seeing that there's a bunch of like a couple of green cards that do help out in how this is in this energy meta that it's already in historic, it will be interesting. I agree with you in the sense that they want to push Tron, but again, Tron is a modern deck that if you are not smart on sideboarding, there is a chance if you go against like mono red or any deck that has Blood Moon, you are done. You're one and done because there's no coming back from that unless you do sideboard well and you have like 4 Nature's Claims or this creature card that when it enters the battlefield, you destroy an enchantment that I don't remember, Manglehorn, I think it's called, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So it all depends on how you sideboard in Tron, and obviously starting hand you have to have that Nature's Claim and at least 2 Tron lands, expedition map, and at least something to control the game. At least for a while, like they can build up. So yeah, it's I don't know. This set is quite interesting in everything that is bringing into the table. As well, one of the other things that I think it's quite interesting is the fact that Modern Horizons 3 has commander decks, being a set that is mostly directed to modern. But hey, at least they in that hiccup in the weekly, they said, hey, commander. Yeah. So yeah, I think that by the end of the day, Orengo, we all know, and we've mentioned it here in the Cardboard Cave podcast. Mm-hmm. We've mentioned that every set, at least a big chunk of the percentage of the set is for commander. Eyeing for commander.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
The number of commander players are so high, and I understand. We've seen this here in Puerto Rico that a lot of people are kind of like have this thought like, oh, commander's destroying the format, more competitive play, and then Watsy goes ahead and, hey, how about we try testing out CDH competitively?
Yeah.
And not only that, a lot of LGS players here in Puerto Rico are doing their own leagues for competitive. Mm-hmm. So it's a win-win situation. Hey, if you guys want competitive, you have your play groups of modern, pioneer, standard, popper, whatnot. But yeah, here you go. All the people that play commander, we will give you that opening door. Obviously, if it's something that it's leaning in like we play competitive commander in our local game store. No proxies. There's no proxies. So
definitely. Yeah.
So you have to. Hey, if you need a Grim Monolith, I'm sorry, you can't use your gold bordered or any type of.
It's gonna be like paper. Me. I bought mine.
I need to buy mine. I have the gold bordered one, but I need to buy mine.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I like that they're pushing competitive commander, but I can't deny that, again, even though I don't partake in standard, I don't partake in modern, I don't partake in any of those competitive formats because it's very expensive. I do wish that instead of getting 4 commander decks in Modern Horizons 3, they should have just done 4 modern decks, pre-constructed modern decks. And, fine, you don't have to push the boundary, you have to make them overly powerful, but you could have at least given you like good bases of like decks that were kind of good, like maybe like a Tron deck with a bunch of these cards, just getting like I don't know, like a mid-rangey type of deck. Get a mono red deck wins. That's probably very cheap to make into a pre-constructed deck. And I don't know, like this could have been their shot to demonstrate to the competitive players that they do care about them too. And they're not alienating them. But it really does feel like they're alienating everyone because they know at the end of the day, Commander people buy a bunch of product every single time, and it sustains itself because of this format. So I don't know, like it's a little sad. I do hope that going forward, they do think about the other players, the competitive players, and they start building pre-constructed decks, really good pre-constructed decks that, what if they cost 100, fine, but as long as they're solid decks, I know competitive players are willing to pay, and it will be a nice barrier of entry, even for me or you, to like buy a $100 modern deck, or maybe if I need multiples, I'll just buy a couple of the same deck. I'll smash it together. $200, $300, $300 is not the same as paying 1,000. If I do actually get like the most, like 90 or 95% of the deck, except the lands, fine. You won't get the lands, but fine, you get everything else. I think that's a win-win. So
yeah, because let's put at least an example. Let me just very quickly look for an example of a modern deck. I'm going to use Tron because I think Tron is one of the most easiest one that they can do as how do you call it, as an entry level deck. So
for sure.
So for example, Tron in tabletop, if you want the whole deck will cost you a hefty price of $766.72. That is having the whole deck, because obviously the deck runs for Worm Coil engines. It runs for Karn, the Great Creator, one Ugin. Let me see another expensive card. It runs the One Rings.
Yup.
And let's see.
Which One Ring is another problem, and it's only because it's in a set that, yes, it was heavily printed, but it's a set that we don't know, because we're not privy of this. We don't know how long it's gonna last on the market, and if they're gonna be able to reprint this card, because they made it so pushed that if they don't get unless they have an extended rights thing that they can reprint this later, or maybe they can make a Magic version of this, or I don't know, like a Magic equivalent or something. It's going to be a big issue if they cannot reprint this card, lower the price. It's same thing with Orcish Bowmasters, and it's still just going to become more expensive. Like right now, it's what, 40, 45. It's probably going to get to 50 soon, and it's an issue too.
This is the foil one from the bundle. Let me see if I can find. Okay, I think here.
Yeah.
Here in Card Kingdom, I think this is the normal one.
Yeah,
no, this is not the normal one.
The bundle is not in foil, as far as I remember it.
Maybe it's not in foil.
I don't remember. Now you're making me question myself. I don't remember either, to be honest. I know I have it in my deck. I know I have the bundle one because I got it for a good price, but I do not remember. I don't remember if it's foil or not. I don't think it's foil. I don't think so, because then it will be so much more expensive. And I remember that Fabiola got it, I think, for like $50 in a Target, and I'm like, oh my god, this is great because it's like 40, so I get like basically free boosters out of it. So I think it's the normal version. It's
okay. It doesn't say, at least here in Card Kingdom, what. Oh yeah, it's bundle foil. Yeah.
Oh, but it is foil then. Okay.
It is foil. And so the normal one, it doesn't say. The normal one, at least in Card Kingdom near mint, is in $94. So
That's
I don't
insane. I don't think so.
I don't know. Card Kingdom has very, very weird pricing. So yeah, I can just say
I checked the prices. I checked the prices of Player. The cheapest one is the one that I have. Is the bundle one. It is going for $59.57. The market price is $51. Thankfully, I remember that when I bought the bundle, like I said, it was around 50 or 60. I bought it on Target, and it was because the card was at 40 or 30 something, because the bundle one is the one that people least want, or I guess is the most readily available one. I don't know if it's because the art, or maybe because you have Golem's hand kind of like in the frame. I don't care. It's a freaking One Ring. Now, the normal one, like the basic ass one, is $66 right now. TCG Player.
Damn.
If you want the extended art, we're pushing $90. If you want a pre-release one, it's $112. If you want extended art search foil, is $125. And if you want the showcase, is $159. Now, for some reason, you would like the borderless poster one, which is like the very psychedelic one. That's $200. That is crazy. This is insane. That's why I'm telling you, like, they either need to reprint the One Ring eventually or very soon, or they're gonna have to like ban it. Because the reason why it's so expensive, it is because of Commander, but it also is because it's used in Modern and in Legacy and in Vintage, and it's literally everywhere. It's such everywhere. A good freaking card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just for like that, we can go to our top 3 cards of each one of us. So if Wizard of the Coast wants to do, like, let's say for instance, the pre-con Modern deck, giving an example on Mono Green Tron, one being the fact that Ugin and Karn are not expensive cards. We're talking about that for 4 Karns, you will be wasting only $26. So they can reprint that.
Yeah, they can reprint. They can stick it in a deck.
Ugin, they can reprint Ugin. Ugin has so many reprints, it doesn't matter right now.
Mm-hmm.
They can go ahead and at least give the person at least 1 or 2 Worm Coil engines.
Yep.
And then what they can do in terms of the artifact portion, being the fact there's 4 the One Rings, they can either or put 1, or just look for the Eldrazi that exiles cards. You can switch that and give
Seer?
Or exactly. You can add 4 Thought Knot Seers. Just like that, you can substitute it for that. Because in terms of lands, you have Boseiju, you can give at least the players 1, and the rest are just very cheap cards except Urza Saga. You can add an additional, I would say, basic forest, but they still have the 17 lands. Yeah. And then do these decks bring sideboard? They don't bring sideboards, right?
They do. Remember the Pioneer ones?
Okay,
Standard? What the sideboards?
So in sideboards, they have to be a little bit crafty, because in sideboards, the deck runs 3 Chalice of the Void.
Yeah.
So
that's a little.
They have 1. To be. Yeah, they can put 1. If we are putting that price tag that you mentioned, a $100 price tag, they can make it happen. They can make it happen.
John, honestly, they can make anything happen. It's just they know that the secondary market exists, even though they deny it all the time. I know that if you print like a lot of high-powered, high-valuable cards into a deck, it's gonna get price gouged by everyone. So I know it's gonna become unavailable because it's gonna be so cheap to get. Like if they put a freaking One Ring in a $100 deck, you basically get a One Ring and then you get 74 other cards for $50. I understand why they can't just do that, but if you make it $150 and you put a lot of value in it, you put a lot of care in it, people just need to buy like maybe 1 or maybe a couple of them, just kept repeats, and then just sell the other things that they don't need, or they can use it for trade for the trade binder. They can make a solid deck. Like we're talking about trying to not price out everyone from the game. Obviously, Standard exists, but even Standard gets a little bit expensive with some of the key cards that people need. So there are options, and I know that they need to pre-plan very ahead of time, so they can't predict how the sets are going to go. What's the format going to be from here to 6 months? We've seen it before when they started doing the Standard decks. They were always very behind. And when they did the Pioneer decks, they were behind, because when they did the decks, at a certain point, they were very popular, but by the time they came out, those weren't the meta decks of that time, even though they could have predicted what could have been the meta decks, because they make the freaking cards. But they didn't do that. So I understand there's a lot of logistical problems here, but Modern is a format that it changes rarely. Like it's not like a new deck is going to be brought forth by one single card in Standard. So they have a general idea of the classical stuff, like we said, Tron, like a Mono Red deck wins, like a type of mid-range deck, like a control build. So there's ways to like make these archetypes around and kind of make like bases for you to like buy them. Like I said, 100, 150, whatever, and make search foil versions of them. People will buy them probably, and then just have some key cards be less than 1 or 2 copies, so you don't like break the secondary market, and then make people buy multiples, I guess, and that's it. It's not ideal. I wish you could just make a full build Tron deck for $100, but I know they can't. I understand it, but you can do something about this. Like, if you want to introduce people into the format, that's what you do.
No, exactly, and that is a way to, because when these decks came out for standard, and then they came out.
Dude,
for
I play
Pioneer,
so much standard. I don't know.
Everybody
you did the same thing.
started buying them because it's like, oh, I can play standard for $30.
Yes. I bought the mono red. I bought a couple of mono reds, I think 1 or 2, and then I smushed them together, and I won so many locals at Granola. Like, I played so much standard. It was great.
No, as well. Like, in Pioneer, I think the one that had Arc like Phoenix, you could buy, it was like 2 of them or 3 of them, and you had the whole deck.
Yep.
You know,
it's great.
Yeah, you had to invest around $100, but still, the rest of the cards, you can put them in your trade binder. You have one full solid Pioneer deck with your full solid sideboard. The rest you can sell them, and you can go ahead and play. Yep. That's the whole point of the whole point of these decks. Yep. But hey, yeah, Watsy, if you need a group of 4 people from Puerto Rico, we can work from home. Yeah, we can work from home, and we can do all your logistics, and we can be like, yes, you guys can do this.
Yep. You can solve your problems.
You can solve your problems. So, Orengo, we always we gave our thoughts about the set. We gave our thoughts about it. We gave our thoughts about Arena, but we always give our viewers our top 3 cards and our honorable mentions. So we're gonna start with our top 3 cards, and then our honorable mentions. So we are gonna go ahead. Sally JP is not with us today. He is actually going to be going on his shift in a couple of minutes. So he can't be with us, but he did send us his top 3. So we will as well mention his top 3. So let's go ahead and start with yours. Your top 3.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I picked a Strix Serenade, Winter Orb, and Echoes of Eternity. Strix Serenade is basically Swan Song for the types that Swan Song didn't have. So it's a counter target artifact, creature, or placewalker. Its controller creates a 2/2 blue bird creature token with flying. It's not as strong, and I feel like I debated this in our Magic the Gathering WhatsApp group. I was debating that it's strictly not as strong as Swan Song, because in Swan Song, especially when you're playing, like, again, we play CDH a lot. So Swan Song is a boon because it's the thing that stops people from stopping for a year combo. So if you're comboing off and you need that 1 extra mana, you Swan Song their counter, and you just go for the win. Strix Serenade, it counters artifact, creature, or planeswalker. So it's more like a tempo. It's more like I counter your commander, I counter your stacks piece, I counter a problematic Teferi on board or something like that, Time Raveler, and you move on, right? It's not as strong as Swan Song, but it's very good complementary to Swan Song. It's a 1 mana. It hits 3 very relevant types of cards in the game. Again, it's not as strong as Instant Sorcery Enchantment, which is like something like very, very strong and something that can help you win the game. This won't help you win the game, but it is a good tempo play. If someone's going to play a problematic commander, you stop it. If someone's going to play, like I said, a problematic stacks piece, you stop it. So I'm pretty sure I'm going to stick this in my commander decks. It's a really good, powerful card, and I know it's going to see play. Maybe not as much as Swan Song, because Swan Song never even saw play in Modern. I feel like this is more for us commander players than it is for Modern. Move along, you have Winter Orb. It's basically Winter Orb, but spliced with a little bit of a Blood Moon. It's called Winter Moon. It's a 2 colorless artifact that reads, players can't untap more than 1 non-basic land type land during their untap steps. So basically, yes, it's basically a mixture of both. It's a Winter Orb, but it's only for non-basic lands during their untap steps. So if you're going up against a greedy mana base, which is most of the time, it's either someone who's playing at least 2 colors, someone who's playing a Tron build, which is non-basic lands, they're going to get very much screwed because of Winter Orb. It doesn't have the caveat that Winter Orb has, where you can tap it with Urza, so the negative effects don't count for yourself. This one doesn't do that, but it's fine because I'm going to stick it in my Urza deck. Haha, that's why I love it. But it's still pretty good. I feel like it gives it gives the option so for mono deck builds in Modern to run this in conjunction with perhaps Blood Moon itself or maybe other types of decks can utilize this and be able to like outwit their opponent with a good stack piece. So again, I think maybe this is more for Commander, but I can see people sideboarding this as an extra Tron hate piece or as a multiple color type of decks. You could kind of like screw them over with a Winter Moon. Finally, I have Echoes of Eternity. It's a Kindred Enchantment Eldrazi. It's 2 colorless and 3 wastes, basically. It's if a triggered ability of a colorless spell you control or another colorless permanent you control triggers, that ability triggers an additional time. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. So, obviously, this card is designed for Eldrazi in mind. So Eldrazi's have a cast trigger, and when they come down, they're a big giant beater. This thing allows you to double up on the cast trigger, which is the important thing because they don't have enter the battlefield abilities. Most of them don't. But the really big ones have cast triggers. So this allows you to cast an additional copy of that trigger. So I think, like, for example, Ulamog, when it comes down, when you cast it, you get to exile 2 permanents. Well, now you get to exile 4 permanents, and you get to make 2 copies, even though one of them is going to fizzle away. Now, if it's for Eldrazi that are not legendary, you get a lot of value out of this card. Now, the interesting part, and I think WotC did this on purpose, it is colorless spells. It's not Eldrazi spells. So, even though you might not be able to benefit from the cast trigger, you can definitely start copying a bunch of artifacts, which is exactly what I will be doing with this card. You are able to just cast any artifact you want that is not legendary, and you get to make copies of that artifact. So really broken interactions can come. I can do, 2 Mind Slavers. I can do 2 Contagion Engines. I can do 2 Darksteel Ignots or whatever. I can do whatever the hell I want. Like, I have double the copies, 2 Mycosynth Lattice, even though it's unnecessary. I can make multiple copies of my artifacts when they come down to the field. And it's also colorless. So like I said, it could be for Eldrazi, it could be for artifacts. It has a lot of value. And of note, a lot of the Eldrazi in this set do have color, but they are devoid of color. So that means you can use them in conjunction with the Echoes of Eternity and you can get extra value from it. So those are my top 3.
I just need to search something.
Okay.
So the card says, if a triggered ability of a colorless spell you control or another colorless permanent you control triggers, right?
Yes.
Annihilator.
Yes.
So, for instance, Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre, Annihilator 4. So it's Annihilator 8.
8. Yes. Yeah, no, this totally designed for Eldrazi in mind, but there's a little caveat, so you can sneak in some artifacts on the side. This is like a super staple for any Eldrazi commander deck. I don't know if this is good enough for Modern because it's like a 6 cost that do nothing. But
I don't think that it's going to be used in Modern.
I don't think so because it's more of a win more.
It's too high costed.
It's so high costed and it does nothing when it comes down. That's the problem it has. I know for a fact, if this was like 4 mana, it would see play everywhere. So I know that's why they couldn't make it 4 mana. I know they were like trying to see like a good number. They couldn't make it 7 because if they made it 7, it would actually work with that land that you can like imprint on it.
Yeah.
And it's 2. So it would have been too strong for that. But then you can't make it like a 4 or a 5 because you could just pretty easily just cast this and cast something else. So I think 6 is like the perfect number where it kind of gets screwed over on both ends and you're actively playing this just to win more. But in a game of Commander, this thing is ridiculous. Like it's scary. It's a kill on sight.
It's a kill on sight. Yeah, I completely agree. So, okay, yeah, these are mine. I thought that JP's was going, these are my honorable mentions. What's happening? Here you go. I totally forgot to move it from the folder. So my bad, guys. To move it to the honorable mentions folder. So these are my top 3 cards. Funny story. I thought that they were not going to be all red, but there's 2 red and one white card.
Basically all red, yeah.
Yeah, basically all red. So when the set was the set was leaked, one of the first leaked cards was Pearl Ear Imperial Advisor. So Pearl Pearl Imperial Advisor. Because it sounds so weird saying ear. Pearl Ear Imperial Advisor is 1 and 2 white legendary creature Fox Advisor that has a lifelink. It's a 3/4 and it has the following effects. Enchantment spells you cast have affinity for auras. Whenever you cast an aura spell that targets a modified permanent you control, draw a card. So, main reason I love this card is because I play Light Paws. So, this would not be my, how do I call it? I would not have this as my commander. I would still leave Light Paws there. But the fact that it gives me affinity of auras, all of my enchantments, and it lets me draw a card as well, it's a win-win for myself, because if I already have Light Paws in game, and let's say that around turn 4 I do draw a Pearl and I can play it and then cast an enchantment for, let's say, 1 white, it's great because I can go ahead, draw a card, get another enchantment, and have Light Paws very big in like turn 4 or turn 5, for instance, and one shot somebody. So that's why I chose him. I just like them. One of my favorite artworks. I do like the original one, but this profile one, it's just, it looks great. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, my second card, when I read it, I was like, oh God, I need this card for the War Doctor. So this is Party Thrasher, is 1 and 1 red. Creature Lizard Wizard. He's a 1/4. Non-creature spells you cast from exile have convoked. And then he has another ability that's at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase. You may discard a card. If you do, exile the top 2 cards of your library, then choose one of them, and you may play that card this turn. This card is amazing. Why? It says non-creature spells you cast from exile have convoke. This helps me if I have a bunch of, let's say that I played a couple of spells that I can play the cards next turn. Let's say that I cannot play them the turn that I exile them. The War Doctor gets that number of time counters, and then on my next turn, I untap and I have mana plus the creatures that I might have, including Party Thrasher. I can use them to cast the cards that are like big mana cards. And I can go ahead, and not only that, if I have like a land, I can discard it, exile 2 more cards, put one of them, it's exile 2 cards from your library, then choose one of them. You may play that card this turn. But still, I get to exile 2 cards.
Yeah.
That's 2 more time counters for the War Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that I can play one of them. It has convoke, and it's in pre-combat, so I'm still not in combat. So it gives me more leeway to cast the card, do more, and the War Doctor can have more counters on him. So this is just a major way to just say GG, well played. I one-shot you with the War Doctor.
Because I think it's also very strong, even for modern standards, because it's a 2 mana 1/4, so already evades Lightning Bolt, which is the Lightning Bolt test, and the fact that you can just discard a card, get 2 extra cards. You're cycling. You're getting 2 cards you can cast with your creature, so that creature already counts towards the casting of the card. Mm-hmm. So, like in a mono red kind of stompy build, or in a sort of wizard deck that they might be wanting to push, maybe with like prowessness or whatever, or even like a Phoenix deck, just if you're just using a lot of spells, a lot of instants, like a lot of draw spells, a lot of burn spells, this thing is really like strong in general, like really ridiculously good.
Yeah. So it's amazing because, again, if you guys don't know what Convoke do, so each creature that is tapped pays for either 1 colorless or 1 mana of one of the creature's colors. So that means that if your creature is white or if your creature is red, it can pay the color combination of the card that is exiled. So yeah, GG wins. This final card of my top 3 is Arena of Glory. Arena of Glory enters the battlefield tap unless you control a mountain. It gives you 1 mana. You can tap it for 1 red. But there's another. Exert is back. Exert is a mechanic from Umket that you can tap the card, exert it, and it will give you an effect. But there's a catch. That card does not untap until your next untap step. So the exert effect from Arena of Glory is that it'll add you 2 red mana. If that mana is spent on a creature spell, it gains haste until end of turn. So I like the card because it's a way that you can, again, for me, this card can be used in the War Doctor. Again, it's another card that I was just thinking for Commander. The War Doctor, it can be used in Kellogg. So it could be used in multiple decks because it gives you additional mana. It gives you 2 mana. So the one that you use to exert it, you have it there for the 2. And then if you do spend it on a creature, that's what might most of the time happen. That creature gains haste. So the War Doctor can attack. Kellogg, well, Kellogg doesn't matter because Kellogg has haste. But still, Kellogg can gain haste, or if you're mana stuck, that can give you the additional mana to cast Kellogg or your commander. So I really do like it. It's a very versatile card. I do like the fact that they used Umket artwork. I do love that borderless artwork. It looks gorgeous. But these are my top 3. You know, it's just everything was entitled for Commander. You know, and for specific decks because that's what I was like aiming for.
No, and that last one, the Arena of Glory, the fact that it can exert. Okay, so it exerts and it filters 1 red for 2 red, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're just getting one red. But the cool thing about this card is you can use it for a creature spell and it'll gain haste, but you can just use it for mana.
Right? Yeah.
Like you can use it for a non-creature spell. Is what I mean. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be for a creature. For a creature is beneficial because it's going to be exerted, so you can't use it next turn. But if not, if you just need to like burn someone out and you just need that 1 extra mana, there it is. You know, it's really, really good. Really good. Playing with the mechanics and playing with the land. Land and the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's go ahead and look at JP's top 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so JP's top 3, he has the following 3 cards. Sadly, he didn't mention why he likes them.
Speculate why. We can speculate.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and read the first one. So Herigast Erupting Nullkite is a 9-drop that has emerge that makes his cost 6 and 2 red. When you cast this spell, you may exile your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. It has flying. It has the following. Each creature spell you cast has emerge. The emerge cost is equal to its mana cost, and it's a 6/6.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that JP likes this card for the emerge?
I think it's the emerge because remember, emerging, you get to sack, and this one can theoretically loop. So if everything in your hand has emerge, if you have stuff that doesn't cost actual mana, if it's just colorless, you can just be like, okay, so I have a 9. Let's say I have another creature on the side. It's like a 7/7. I can use that. Remember the Null Drifter, which is a copy of Null Drifter, but it's Eldrazi. So imagine you have 1 Null Drifter on the field. Well, I get to sack that. I get to play another Null Drifter from my hand. I draw 2 cards. Okay, there's 1 Null Drifter. I'm going to sack that Null Drifter, play another Null Drifter. I'm going to draw 2 cards. Okay, I'm going to sack that 3rd Null Drifter. I'm going to play another Null Drifter. You get the drift. You just start like, if everything is essentially colorless, like actually colorless, not, I mean, you can pay any mana for it, not actual colorless mana. You can just do a bunch of crazy shenanigans with Herigast. And being able to sack, being able to draw cards, it's really, really powerful.
Okay, go for the next one.
Yes, so we have 6. 6 separated from the other hosts or whatever. Now he's just a gentle brute type of creature. So it's a 2 colorless and a green legendary creature, tree folk. He's a 2/4. He has reach. Whenever 6 attacks, mill 3 cards. You put a land from among them into your hand. For as long as it's your turn, non-land permanent cards in your graveyard have retrace. I think it's a retrace. Retrace is very powerful. Retrace was the one that you can just discard a land to be able to repay the spell, right? Like if you have, let's say you have an opt, you can discard a land, you can pay 1 blue, and then you can play again opt, right?
Let me see. Retrace says retrace appears. Retrace means you may cast this card from your graveyard by discarding a land as an additional cost to cast it. Casting a spell using it, its retraceability follows the rules for playing an additional cost.
Exactly. So it's kind of cool because sadly, when it attacks, I think, but maybe it would have been too pushed. I think ideally it should have said when 6 enters the battlefield and attacks. And then at least when it hits the battlefield, it does something. That being said, 6, if it's on the field and you have extra mana and you have lands in your hand, you can discard and start retracing stuff from the graveyard. So that's pretty cool because as long as it's your turn, so you can theoretically, this could be cool in a type of Golgari build or Absent build where you need to combo off, but your combo's in the graveyard. You just have a bunch of lands. Just play the 6, start discarding, start retracing, cast all the stuff you need, and theoretically you can win. So I think that's why. And Chthonian Nightmare is the third one that he picked, is a reference to Recurring Nightmare. And for people who know what Recurring Nightmare is, it is a recurring nightmare. That's why it's so broken, and it's banned in Commander for a reason. So Chthonian Nightmare is a colorless and a black for enchantment that reads, when Chthonian Nightmare enters the battlefield, you get 3 energy. Pay X energy, sacrifice a creature, return Chthonian Nightmare to its owner's hand, return target creature card with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate only as a sorcery. So essentially, Chthonian Nightmare is a fixed version of Recurring Nightmare, which essentially Recurring Nightmare costs 1 more, and you can just play it. You can sack, I believe, any creature, and then you can play a creature, and then you get a Recurring Nightmare back to your hand. And by doing so, you're essentially doing a Recurring Nightmare because it comes down every single time, and you just start looping. So this one is very strong because theoretically, you can just play Chthonian Nightmare for 2. You get 3 energy. You use 1 energy to sack something, get something for 1, bounce it back again, play it again. And if you have a way to just like level out the 2 mana and have a bunch of extra energy or use the same 3 energy over and over and over, you could probably create a loop where you just essentially win the game. And I'm pretty sure this is very abusable. I haven't looked into it, but it's the type of card that JP would like to play.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. It's a card that JP would like to play. Yeah, and JP, I don't know. He finds ways. That's why in the Cardboard Cave, he is the person that if you want to know what type of combo you want to do on your commander, he's the guy.
He's the commander guy.
So
he's the combo guy.
He's the combo guy. So we're gonna go to the honorable mentions. I'm gonna start with me because it was already in the listing of the images. So these are my honorable mentions very quickly. So Glimpse the Impossible, 2 and 1 red. Sorcery, exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play those cards this turn. At the beginning of the next end step, if any of those cards remain exiled, put them into your graveyard. Then create 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature tokens for each card put into your graveyard this way. Those tokens have sacrifice this creature, and it creates 1 colorless. I just like it because it gives me 3 cards. Again, this is all thinking about the War Doctor. Gives me 3 exile triggers, so there's 3 more time counters. If I don't get to use them, I have 3 mana dorks to be able to use. And even though the cards are going to be in my graveyard, I don't have a Underworld Breach in the commander because I want this commander to be just for fun. But if by any chance, if I do get a card like, let's say, there's one card that gives you a flashback. There's a couple of cards that give flashback to your
Past
graveyard.
in Flames, I think.
Exact, Past in Flames, and so yeah, Past in Flames is one of them. So I can use Past in Flames, and whatever I have in the graveyard that I have not yet used, I can go ahead and use it.
Yeah.
The good thing is that I have 3 dorks, three potential dorks that can help me out for more things. So this
That card's
card,
really strong. Because now that I read it, it's if at the beginning of the next end step and end of turn.
yeah,
I'm
next
not
end step.
excellent step. I'm sorry. If any of them are in exile or in your graveyard, so even if you did cast them, you still get 3 Eldrazi spawns.
Yes.
So you will get your mana back. This is broken in Pauper. This is like broken in Pauper because you will get those cards no matter what.
Yes.
That's crazy. I thought it was just if they remain in exile, then you get
No.
the spawns. But no, it's no matter where. Oh my god, it's strong. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next card is Ocelot Pride. It's 1 white creature cat, first strike, lifelink with Ascend. Just in case, guys, Ascend is the mechanic that if you have 10 or more permanents, you are #blessed. So you have the city's blessing. So at the beginning of your end step, if you gain life this turn, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. Then, if you have the city's blessing, for each token you control that entered the battlefield this turn, create a token that's a copy of it. And it's a 1/1. I don't like the fact that it's a 1/1. I understand why it's a 1/1 because it's kind of broken, but this card, I just love it. I do not build that many token based decks, but if I would make a mono white one because I like this card. It has first strike, it has lifelink, and it's only the fact if you gain life. So this is like Davros. At the moment that you gain life, you can do the effect. So if you're doing like a mono white life gain token deck, this is the card that you can have. And if it's in Commander, you can have City's Blessing pretty fast.
Yeah.
If it's in Modern, it's a little different. I think that there might be a strategy that somebody can make, like they can get City's Blessing a little bit quicker. But there are so many cards that are lifelink that you can abuse in Modern or in Pioneer. So this is an amazing card for it. Then my last card, and it's a card that that you posted in the chat when we were talking about today's episode. It's Vexing Bauble. It's 1 colorless artifact that whenever a player casts a spell, if no mana was spent to cast it, counter that spell. Then it has another ability that you can pay 1, tap it, sacrifice, and draw a card. I automatically said for Shurikai. This is a stupid card. This literally stops basically all combos. It's obviously it says whenever a player, so it affects yourself as well. But what if you have this card, right? Nobody can combo off.
Yep.
Somebody will waste a removal spell for it. And if they do, you're like, well, I pay 1, sacrifice, and I draw a card.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna combo off. How about that card that I drew is a counter?
Yeah.
For that, for your ability or a silence. So before anything, I'm gonna cast silence on top of everything, and you can't do squat.
Yep.
So I just love it. It's a great stack piece.
I saw it. What I'm sad is that it's a bauble. It should have been 0 mana, but I know it wasn't going to be 0 mana. Now I want to stick it in Urza because what I imagined was, yes, this thing actually screws me over because when I do Urza, I'm casting it without paying mana cost. What I can just do is like, I'm just going to go off, guys. So I go off, like I produce infinite mana, say, I do my Urza a bunch of times. I exile my whole deck, but I don't cast anything because I can't. And then I crack the bauble, and then I start comboing off. Oh, you're gonna stop me? Give me a second. Let me grab my whole exile and just start countering everything, guys.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Exactly like what I said.
Yeah.
Because yeah, at the end of the day, if you are able to win, yeah, like if you have everything in hand, why not?
Yep.
Why not?
Strong. Super strong.
It's super strong. So let's go to the honorable mentions of Orengo.
Yes, sir.
And JP.
Yep.
Okay, let's go ahead. Boop. There you
really
go.
quick. Okay, really quick. My honorable mentions, they're not that great, but I'm just gonna talk about it real quick. Skoa Ember Mage, 4 colorless, 2 red for a legendary creature, Goblin's Wizard. It's a 4/4. When Skoa Ember Mage enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to any target, which is fine for a 6 mana stuff. It has Grandeur. Discard another card named Skoa Ember Mage. Sacrifice 2 mountains. Skoa deals 4 damage to any target. So you can discard another card named itself. So let's say you have a copy of this, you can't cast it, so you discard it, you sack 2 mountains, and you burn someone. This is reminiscent of a pauper card that's used a lot. I forgot the name, but it's sort of like a gush for red, where you sack mountains to deal 4 damage to something. I forgot the name of the card. Now the interesting part is not even that. It's the fact that this is a legendary creature at the common level. We haven't seen that since Legends and Homelands. That's like 25, 30, almost 30 years ago.
Wow.
I don't know if this is the start of something. I would like that, because if it's the start of something, that means we can actually make pauper commanders. Yes.
Oh, shit.
So I'm hyped about that. That being said, in pauper, because I do follow a little bit of pauper metagame, a lot of the best removals are because there's no legendary creatures in the format, because there's no legendary commons. Like, that's not a thing. So if this thing starts making damage in the format, which I don't know if it will, because it's 6 mana, it's a little hard to get down, but in like more reasonable Tron like builds, or maybe slower builds, it might be able to pop off. If it does, it evades like 70% of the removal in the format, because a lot of it's geared towards non-legendary creatures. Like, the most powerful mono black removal is Cast Down, which destroys target non-legendary creature. And because, again, there's none of them in pauper, that's why this thing could become a problem in the format. The second card, it's also because of pauper. Cranial Ram. It's Rakdos. It's a black and a red for an artifact equipment that reads Leaving Weapon. So it's an equipment, and it just creates a germ. It's a 0/0, and it gets equipped onto this. It's an equipped creature, gets +X+1, where X is the number of artifacts you control, and it has equipped 2. So this is cranial plating. It's cranial plating. It's slightly fixed because it's not +X+X. It's +X+1. So it still means like you have like a small toughness. You don't have a lot of toughness. But now I understand why they banned All That Glitters. It's because they knew they were going to print Cranial Ram, and having Cranial Ram plus All That Glitters was going to be too insane for the format.
Yep.
I don't know how they printed this, because I think this is still a problem, even though they think they fixed it by making it a +X+1. But the problem is that most affinity decks just run a bunch of evasive creatures, and they also run Gingerbrute, which evades everything, and they run a bunch of Glinthogs and Skyward Core Fisher. I don't remember the name. It's all a flying creature. It's all evasion. So sticking onto that is the same thing. It's the same issue that we had with All That Glitters, just with a new card. And now you kind of have to tweak the deck to make it Grixis instead of what it originally was Azorius or Jeskai. So yes, I don't know what Wizards were thinking. I think they were like thinking, well, you're just gonna ban All That Glitters. This will be tougher. Like, those affinity decks are not gonna be as strong. No, this is just gonna break the damn format again. So I just can't wait to get 4 of those, make my Grixis decks, which I've slowly been building in real life, and we're gonna play some good affinity Grixis. My final card needs no explanation. It's from the Flare cycle, Flare of Denial. It's colorless to blue. Instant, you may sacrifice a non-token blue creature rather than playing this spell's mana cost. Counter target spell. It's a cancel at worst. At best, it's a free spell. You just need to sack a creature. I want to stick this in my Urza deck. People are saying, that's crazy, bro. Why the hell would you sack Urza? I'm like, I don't care. I would sack Urza if it means I can just win on the spot. So it's a really strong deck. So
yeah, I thought of the same thing for this one. Like, I know that in Shurikai I don't have that many creatures, especially blue ones. But if I have to sack, let's say, Tide Sprout,
you do it
to win. I do it.
You do it.
You know?
Yeah, of course.
Obviously, Hullbreaker Horror is a little bit different, but I would do Hullbreaker Horror. Obviously, in that note, being the fact that I get to return something as well.
Yeah, you get to bounce a spell or bounce a permanent.
Exactly. So if I have like if my opponent has a problematic spell or anything that I can bounce besides counter whatever he's doing, yeah, I would do that. So it's an okay. It's an okay card.
Yeah.
So these are JP's honorable mentions. I'm gonna mention the first one.
Sure.
First one is Nadu. Winged Wisdom is 1 green and blue legendary creature bird wizard. It's a 3/4 flying has the following effect. Creatures you control have whether this creature becomes, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, reveal the top card of your library. If it's land card, put it onto the battlefield. Otherwise, put it into your hand. This ability triggers only twice each turn. I think it's interesting. I'm not gonna.
It's strong. So I also was like dumbfounded. I didn't understand why this thing was like good or why people cared about it.
A lot of people are building this already.
Yes. So I the first thing I thought of was Thrasios, and I'm like, it's not as strong as Thrasios because it's limited to triggering twice each turn. But then I started thinking, like, there must be something. I did a little bit of research. It says creatures you control. So all creatures have this ability. It's in Simic, so it's very strong because of this. You would think, well, I need to stick like auras on this, or I need to cast like something that targets this specifically. It has self-protection because if you're going to remove this or any of your creatures, they need to target them or they need to do a mass board wipe. So you're going to get some value out of this. There's two interesting parts. First, the land comes untapped. That might be relevant. It might be key. If not, you get to draw the card. Now, you get to abuse this very easily with 0 mana equipments. So if you have lightning greaves, you have a creature and you have Nadu, you stick it to Nadu, you do the thing, you stick it to another creature, you do the thing. That's it. If you have a way of casting things on your opponent's turn, so let's say it's your turn now, I cast something to this guy, I draw a card, I cast something here, I draw a card, I do it to you, and you start seeing how abusable it becomes. Even though that's why I limited to twice per turn, because they knew once would have been too not that powerful. Making it as many times as you would like I said, you would just be re-equipping a zero-costed equipment back and forth, and you would just draw your whole deck. So they can't do that. So the best thing they would come up with was twice per turn, every turn. So it's very abusable. That's why everyone wants to build it. I understand why now. It's very easy to like pop this off and gain a lot of value from this card.
Yep.
So the other one is Power Balance. It's 2 red enchantment. It's basically the opposite of Counterbalance. So whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may reveal the top card of your library. If you do, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost if the 2 spells have the same mana value. So in Counter Spell's case, you get to counter it if it has the same mana value at the top. This one, you get to cast the thing from your top if it has the same mana cost as the card that someone's casting. So I don't know if it'll see play. Maybe there's a way to manipulate in Modern. It's still like a strong two drop. Like even if it like most of the time does nothing, it's still kind of powerful to be able to cast free things. Not every time your opponent is casting stuff. I think it's very strong. I don't think it's as strong as Counterbalance, but the fact that you can cast stuff for free theoretically makes it pretty strong. So yeah, I think
this with Sensei's Divining Top with a mono red deck.
You can manipulate everything and you can go nuts. Yeah, definitely. That's where it gets abusable. That's why Counterbalance is so powerful, because you have a Sensei's, you're like, okay, what are you casting? Give me a second. I'm gonna switch the top, reveal, counter. Okay, cool. Oh, you're gonna do something else? Sensei's. Okay, reveal the top, counter. Theoretically, that's why it's so good. You can potentially do the same thing with Power Balance.
Yeah. So the last card for JP's honorable mentions is Philia Exuberante Shepherd. Sorry, wizards. You and your big words. Legendary creature dog. It has flash. It's a 2/2, and it says whenever Philia attacks, exile up to 1 other target non-land permanent at beginning of the next end step. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. If it entered under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Philia. This is cool.
Yeah, it's cool. The flash ability, you get to blink stuff. I know there's abusable elements with the blinking, because you gotta blink one of your things or you get to blink one of their things. You're essentially playing fetch with Philia. It's pretty strong. It's probably not a 99. It's probably one of those 99 cards in a commander deck. I don't think it's a commander itself, but it can be abusable in blink strategies.
Yeah, I think that you can use it in yes. Is Ridden Siri does Ridden Siri run white?
You ran in Siri.
The dog cat commander. I don't
Yes.
think so. It is? They
Yeah,
do?
yeah.
Okay. And as well with this, dang, what was the
Mm.
oh wait, I think it's the same. No. Well, yeah, Ginny Fey as well runs
Mm.
right. So
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah. So yeah, it's a 99 card. It's a
Mhm.
really good 99 card. I think that the only thing that like it gives me a little bit is that it has to attack.
Yeah, that's the only problem. That's why I think it has the flash caveat in order to be able to like do that, because it's true, like it needs to attack, but thankfully it has flash, so people attack. It's the end phase, you cast it with flash, in your turn you get to attack and try to
Mhm.
do your things. Yeah, you would never cast this on your main phase like
Yeah.
ever. So
So guys, these are our top 3 cards, and as well our honorable mentions from the Modern Horizon 3 set. The commanders, I think that we didn't speak that much about the commanders. Again, the commanders are still being previewed.
revealed. Mhm.
They're still being revealed. If already a couple of like YouTubers, especially the Command Zone, they have already revealed one of the full ones. I think that people are most anxiously waiting for the Eldrazi 6 color commander, because Waste is coming back.
Yeah.
And in snow. So yeah. So my final thoughts: the set is interesting. I think it's not going to affect that much the meta in regards in general. Probably in obviously in Commander. Probably it might do something. It might make a hiccup and
Yeah.
be like, "Hey, we're here." But in regards to other formats, I really don't think that it's going to do that much. So then, what do you think?
I think maybe Eldrazi might be able to do something. There might be a deck that comes out of this that's an Eldrazi deck. Perhaps they're pushing energy a lot, but I don't see energy being this unless again maybe there's some card or 2 or 3 that were spoiled that kind of breaks the energy mechanic and makes it very viable. But for now, I don't see it. It's not gonna breed new decks for the exception of Eldrazi. I think it's gonna enhance previous decks that already exist. Obviously, he's very strong for Commander. The interesting thing will be is how well this set sells. If it doesn't sell well, it'll be good for Commander players because Commander is going to want a lot of these cards. But for Modern, it's going to be sad because they've waited a long time for this, and it might be cards that don't really affect the format, and it might just not make an impact as much as Wizards is thinking it might be.
Yeah. And one other thing, guys, if you guys are not eyeing to buy the set as, boxes or collector boosters, just pay attention to singles. That's like what we always say, especially that the fetch lands, the enemy fetch lands. The enemy fetch lands are coming back. So pay attention because they might not go low as the previous ones that you can still get them for $10, $15. These might fluctuate around 15 to 20 because these are the popular colors that a lot of people play. But at least you can get Flooded Strand, Bloodstained Mire, Windswept Heath, and the other ones. You can get them at least for a cheaper price than the premium cost that they are right now.
Yes.
So pay attention, being the fact that there are in different frames: retro frame, normal frame, borderless. So it's a great moment as well.
I got my Modern Horizons 2 lands. I bought them because I know they're going to start creeping up because now these are going to be the supposedly scarce ones. So I bought some of those. I bought myself a pretty little Fierce Guardianship. Yep, in retro, and I bought myself the Counterbalance because I needed the Counterbalance. So there you go.
Yo, Fierce Guardianship. I'm still so pissed off because I was going to get it, and Carlos and Jorge were like, it's gonna go lower. Don't worry about it.
It went low. It went to like 30 almost. So
no, that's the thing. It was foil. It was like $26.
Oh yeah.
So I was gonna get it because I was like, I'm gonna get it and then sell mine.
Yeah.
And I didn't because they're like, it's gonna go lower.
No.
The next day it was like around $40, $50. I'm like,
that's why you guys have to buy it. That's why you have to buy it when it drops on Friday. either Friday or Saturday. Those are the peak days. I know
Yes.
people say that in the long run, prices will go down, and it is true. But at the initial peak, since people don't know the prices, and people are just wanting to just sell them like at how do you call
Arena
this?
of Glory Borderless is at 65 pre-order price.
Yeah, it's not gonna hold. Like all these things
Yeah.
are gonna drop really hard. It's gonna be like a fire sale. That's the word. A fire sale. Fire sale. So just get them quick, get them fast. That's what I always do.
Don't buy product and let wizards cry.
Yes, let's just try because the product they've been trying in Amazon, they've been trying to gauge the prices, and if you notice, they've been steadily dropping the price, the MSRP, because like people are not like really vibing with Modern Horizons 3, and the initial prices were so prohibitively expensive, no one was ever gonna buy them. So now they kind of like petered down to like an acceptable quotations acceptable level.
The other thing is that everybody that loves to buy booster boxes for fun, always pay attention in Amazon. Sometimes Amazon is like flash sale, and some set booster boxes from 110 or 125, they go down to 75. I think that the lowest I've seen a set, I think that Baldur's Gate, the Baldur's Gate, I saw the Commander Legends Baldur's Gate set. I saw a safe booster box for $50 because it was like on a super sale. And again, it's not a bad set to buy like a couple of boxes and enjoy because the dragons are there. But hey, if you can get it for $50, just break a leg and do it.
It's better than buying a Jumpstart box. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, don't buy Jumpstarts.
Never buy Jumpstart.
No, never. If there's a card that you like, just buy it as a single.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Orengo, that we had a great night today talking about Modern Horizon 3. So where can the people find you?
You can find me here talking about sweet, delicious, yummy in my tummy cardboard. Look at that yummy cardboard. You can find me with you talking about Commander, everything that WotC's doing wrong, and all the spoilers of the new sets. You can also find me in Cinema Podcast. I do reviews. I talk about movies that I enjoy, movies I don't enjoy, and everything in between. What about you, John?
So you guys can find me as well here in the Cardboard Cave podcast social medias, especially in TikTok. I think that there's where myself and Orengo, you can see us there a little bit much more frequent than in our other platforms, and as well on YouTube. So there's a lot of content that we have not yet posted, but it's there. It's literally uploaded. We're just missing to put the timestamps so that it can be released. Orengo is going to be releasing a new video in this week, so this one will be available as well, that you guys can listen in the future. As well, you can find me in Reel In Films, our website, reelinfilms.com, or all of our social media, especially if you want to be up to date with anything and everything movie related or news related. Instagram is the platform that we post everything in regards to news as well. Two things that are happening in Reel In Films. One, the new episode of Conociendo Cinéfilos is already up. We talked to Amanda Munoz. She is a movie critic that loves horror films. I have to warn you, it's in Spanish, but obviously, thanks to auto-generated captions, you can put it, and it will do the captions in English. So go ahead and check that out if you want to know somebody from our space here in Puerto Rico that's a movie critic. You can know her content. And as well, I do want to mention that I made already my debut in a Christian radio station from Florida. I made my debut last Friday. I spoke about the film Sight, and I'm going to be in that radio station once a month. So pay attention to Reel In Films so that I can actually announce the day that I will be going live on radio. So thank you very much for everybody that keeps supporting us, and we will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.